Which NFL team has the best running back room? That's what we're going to get into today. We're making another tier list. If you guys didn't catch it, we made a wide receiver room tier list, which includes the wide receivers and tight ends. And today we're going to look at the running back rooms for every team in the NFL. Before we get into it, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. We're at 212 subscribers at the moment of this recording. We're looking to get to about 250 by the time training camps start. Today is June 23rd, so training camps start in about a month. So yeah, we're looking to get about, 38 more subscribers in the next month. I think we can do it with your guys' help. But I'm going to stop blabbing, and we're going to kind of just get right into it. Again, if you saw my wide receiver / tight end room video, receiving room video, I guess you can call it, this is going to be very similar. Going through every NFL team, all 32. And we're going to put these in the tiers from S to F. Now, I'm not 100% sure. This is a raw ranking. I didn't really plan or think about this. I'm just kind of going to go through it and kind of go with how I feel at the moment. Again, it's June 23rd. Things can still change. Guys can be brought in. Lots of running backs are out there, free agents. But I would imagine to get into S tier, you're going to need a couple of good running backs, not just one. I don't think anyone's going to fall into F tier, but again, we'll see. We'll see as we go. We'll try to rank within the tier as well. And, we're going to take into account rookies, but also, we're going to project on what we think those rookies are going to do. But we do have to be realistic and understand that they are rookies and there's a little bit of an unknown there. So we're going to start it off with the New Orleans Saints, just like in the wide receiver video. The Saints, a tough one. I mean, you got Jamal Williams, Alvin Kamara, who's not suspended yet. Still, I think a lot of people are expecting him to be suspended. But at this point, I think I'm going to roll with it as Kamara is not suspended. So it's basically Jamal Williams, Alvin Kamara, Kendre Miller. I think it's actually a solid running back room. I still think Kamara has a lot to offer. Maybe one more year as being a guy who can catch 70 balls. Jamal Williams is a solid between the tackle guy. Kendre Miller is an intriguing rookie, so I kind of like this running back room. I think, again, assuming that Kamara is not suspended as of right now, I'm going to go with A and see how that goes. Maybe, this is going to be a fluid list, so maybe it's going to drop to B, but we're going to go with A there. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins, another team that has several guys on the team. You got Raheem Mostert, you got Jeff Wilson, and we saw kind of how they work within that offense. Devin A-Chain, I really, really like as a rookie. He's a blazer. Guy runs like a 4.3, a low 4.3, maybe in the high 4.2s. It's attracting me with that team. Salvin Ahmed, Myles Gaskin. Okay, those are one of those guys will be there, I assume, to kind of be like the fourth guy. I'm just showing you guys the list here. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to put them in B tier. I think B tier is safe. They don't have a stud like Kamara. They just have a bunch of good guys. And I really like A-Chain, but he is a rookie. We got to remember that. So there is some unknown there. Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens. Not a huge fan of that, and I'm not taking into account Lamar or any quarterbacks in terms of what they're going to do rushing. I'm just looking at the running backs. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, J.K. Dobbins is interesting, but at this point, it's like, okay, he looked good for his rookie year for a stretch run, and then obviously he was injured and missed time and, came back from the injury. It's like at this point, it's like we haven't seen a whole lot from him. Okay, Gus Edwards is there. Keaton Mitchell is an undrafted guy who, is intriguing, but again, he's an undrafted rookie free agent. I'm going to put him in C tier. People might be a little upset with that, but they're just kind of C to me. I mean, I think the fact that Dobbins is intriguing and probably an above average running back, I'm going to leave him in C, but beyond that, it's just like, I'm not really excited about the running back room there for the Ravens. Cincinnati Bengals. They lost Samaje Perine to Denver. Obviously, Joe Mixon's still there at this point, and I kind of expect him to be. They did draft an interesting, they either drafted or he's undrafted, Chase Brown. I believe he was undrafted, drafted late. But I think that's all they really have. Um, yeah, I mean Travion Williams, people like, but I think because you have Mixon and then a bunch of unknowns, I'll put him in B. I'll put him above the Dolphins just because Mixon is and has been one of the better running backs in the NFL over the last couple of years. I know he's, maybe disappointing in terms of fantasy last year, but the fact of the matter is the guy's had 3 1,100 yard or 1,200 yard seasons in the last 5 years. Last year, he had 800 yards, missed 3 games. He can catch 50, 60 passes. So he's better than anyone that I think is currently on the Dolphins. So I'll put him above the Broncos. Now, we do have to take into account that Javonte Williams is either not going to start the season or he's going to be very, very limited and kind of trying to return from that. Obviously, the track record of returning from major injuries like that is not good. Just look at Saquon Barkley a couple years ago, J.K. Dobbins last year. I mean, even like James Robinson with an Achilles. So you got Samaje Perine, who I like, but this is I'm going to assume Javonte is going to be put on the pup. You know what? No, I'm not going to. Yeah, this is tough. I'll put him at C right now. It's just, because of unknown of Javonte, I really, really like Javonte Williams. He could still be there at the beginning of the year, and who knows? Maybe he's one of those guys that kind of those freak athletes that can just come back from it, and it looks like they never missed a beat, like Adrian Peterson. Yeah, I'm gonna roll with them at C though because, we got to assume that Javonte is going to be hampered by that injury. I'll put him behind the Ravens. The Giants, I know technically Saquon Barkley is not signed, but I'm going to assume and roll with this as Saquon Barkley is on the team. That's really all they have. I mean, they have what? Breida still? Is Breida still there? Eric Gray, a guy that's interesting as a pass catcher. Gary Brightwell, because they have Saquon, I'll put him in the A tier. I think Saquon's at this point in their careers is a step above Kamara, and I'll put him above the Saints. I mean, Saquon, they can't be S tier because they only really have one guy. I think that's how I'm gonna roll with the S tier. You got to have multiple guys. The Vikings, they no longer have Dalvin Cook. You have Ty Warren, you have Alexander Madison, you have Trey McBride, who I think is interesting. You have a lot of unknowns, is basically what I'm trying to say. And this might shock or upset some people, but I think I'm going to roll. They're at the bottom of my C tier right now, and they might fall into D tier because I do think one or two teams should fall into the D tier. I'm not a big Madison guy. I know people are super excited about him finally taking over. Just look at his numbers. Like, they're not necessarily that good. Now, I know he's never been the starter, and he's only started a couple games in his career. But, last 2 years, he's averaged under 4 yards a carry, which is not good. I just think a lot of people are assuming he's going to come in. We can't expect him to put up Dalvin Cook type numbers. Dalvin Cook was a special running back. Madison is not, in my opinion. I'm putting them at the bottom of C tier, and they may fall into the D tier. To me, how this kind of should be ordered is there's going to be a lot of guys in the B and C tier. I would assume a lot of teams in the B and C tier, not so many in the D and S tier. We'll see about the A tier. The Rams coming in here. You got Cam Akers, obviously, who looked really, really good. The end of the year, one of the best running backs the last 4 or 5 weeks in the league last year. I know they just brought in Sony Michel. They drafted Zach Evans, who's a guy that a lot of people liked coming out into the draft, a guy who had a lot of potential, um, and as a high recruit coming out of high school, who's never really lived up to it. To me, they're C as well. I'm going to put them above the Broncos. And I'm going to put them above the Ravens because I think Cam Akers is better than J.K. Dobbins, even coming off this Achilles. So we saw what he can do those last 4 or 5 weeks, and I really think Cam Akers is going to have a good season this year. So I'm putting him in C, though, because, again, it's still a very small sample size with Akers. So I'm putting him in C. The Buccaneers, Buccaneers. They lost Fournette, where he may come back, but as of right now, they don't have Fournette. You have Rachaad White, and what? Not much else, man. Is Giovanni Bernard still on the team? Like, that guy's been in the league forever. Chase Edmonds is there, okay. Sean Tucker is a very intriguing prospect I like, but again, undrafted guy. You got to be a little bit realistic here. Keyshawn Vaughn has never lived up to the hype. This might be my first D tier. Like, I don't think Rachaad White is that great, but I think he's the best running back on the team right now. I would take Madison over Rachaad White, in my opinion. Rachaad White he averaged. I know their offensive line was terrible, but he averaged 3.7 yards a carry. He had 50 catches, but Tom Brady also threw it 7,000 times. So everyone has inflated catch numbers on that team. I just think the fact that Rachaad White's your number one guy is a little scary there. And that's kind of how it is right now. So, that's where I'm going there. The Lions. I think I'm putting the Lions in S tier. I really, really like David Montgomery. I think he's a little underrated. He's a guy that's proven he can break tackles, really good tackle breaker. Has always played behind a crappy offensive line in Chicago, and it's kind of made it work. He's averaged over 4 or more yards a carry twice in his career behind that terrible offensive line. He can catch the ball. He can catch 50 passes. And then you got Jahmyr Gibbs, who is a first-round running back, and we got to respect that. I know he's a little bit of an unknown, but I'm assuming he's going to come in and he's going to catch 60, 70 passes. And I think he's an explosive player. And I think him and Montgomery are the perfect pair for each other. So I really, really like those two. So I'm going to put them in S tier. They have two guys that I'm really excited about. So the Chicago Bears, another team where it's just, man, what do we expect here? I think a lot of people are expecting Khalil Herbert to be the main guy. I'm a little cautious there. I don't want to assume too much. Khalil Herbert's going to come in, carry the ball 230 times, and he's going to be a stud. Just because he's looked good in a couple games where David Montgomery didn't play. I'm not going to make that mistake in fantasy football and real football. The fact of the matter is Khalil Herbert in the NFL has never had more than 130 carries. In college, he had one season with over 150 carries. And then, which is a decent amount in college, but it's not like a workhorse amount, in my opinion. So I'm not just going to assume. I do like Roschon Johnson a lot. I like Deontay Foreman a lot. So to me, that keeps them out of D tier, in my opinion. Because at the very least, it's like, all right, you got Deontay Foreman. Roschon Johnson, I think, could be the best running back on that team. I'm putting him at S tier. Sorry, not S tier. C tier. I'll put him at the end of C tier as of now. I think Madison is probably a little bit more proven than any other guy. Let me think here. You know what? I'm putting him above the Broncos, above the Vikings, because I'm thinking, okay, you got Madison, Ty Warren, Trey McBride. We don't know anything about Ty Warren or Trey McBride. Chicago, you got Deontay Foreman, Khalil Herbert, and then we don't know anything about Roschon, but I'll put him here. I'll put him above the Broncos. We'll put him behind the Ravens just because I think Dobbins is probably better than anyone on the Bears as of now. Yeah, I'll put them there. Again, they're in the same tier, so you can move them around if you want. Moving on to the 49ers. They got to be S tier. I mean, you got maybe the best running back in the NFL, and Christian McCaffrey. The guy's super, super good. Elijah Mitchell was a really good, he had a really good rookie year. He looked good paired when he came back with CMC and they were paired together. They looked really good together. Not much else there besides those two guys. As of now, I'm putting him in S tier. I'm putting him above the Lions because I'll take McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell for this year in 2023 over Gibbs and Montgomery, in my opinion. Mostly because of McCaffrey there. The Eagles, obviously a really good running team. Lost Miles Sanders. So you got Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift, who are two guys that I really like their talent. They just need to stay healthy. You got Kenneth Gainwell still there and Boston Scott. I'm putting him in A tier. I'm not going to put him above. I'm going to put him here. I'll take Penny, Swift, Gainwell, and Scott. I think I know what to expect from all of those guys. And if somehow Penny and Swift can stay healthy, this team could be potentially S tier because those two players are really good. But that's, those guys have never been able to stay healthy. I'll take those guys, though, over Kamara, Jamal Williams, Kendrick Miller. I just think there's a little bit more potential there. I'm going to give Saquon the benefit of the doubt here, and he's significantly better than anyone on the Eagles, so I'll leave the Giants above them. The Raiders, Josh Jacobs led the league in rushing last year, which maybe surprised a lot of people. Always been a super efficient guy. Finally got the touches. What do they have behind him now? I know they have Zamir White, who was, a third, fourth round pick last year. He was a fourth round pick. Didn't show much. Don't know what to expect from him. Amir Abdullah, okay, he can catch some balls. Brandon Bolden was supposed to be a pass catching guy. Never got it. This feels like a B tier to me. No, this feels like an A tier to me because Josh Jacobs is so good. And I may move the Bengals up to bottom of A tier when all is said and done. But Josh Jacobs is just such a good running back. It's kind of like the Giants and Barkley here, where you have one guy who is so good and you don't really have much else behind them. Now, if the question is, do I want to put the Raiders over the Giants? I guess is the real question. That's tough. I think I'll lean Saquon, but I'm not going to argue with anyone that wants to consider Josh Jacobs better than Saquon. But I'll lean Saquon here. I mean, they had similar-ish numbers, right? I mean, I think Jacobs had more, but yeah, whatever. I mean, for 2023, I'm going to take the Saquon. The Green Bay Packers. They haven't changed this year. A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones. That's really all that's there. I like Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon has kind of been a disappointment. I think they belong in B tier, in my opinion. I will take Aaron Jones over Joe Mixon, and then I'll give A.J. Dillon a little bit of a benefit of a doubt here. It's like, okay, he's never lived up to expectations, but he's still like a decent number 2. So I'll put him in B tier. Seems solid for them. Washington Commanders. Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson headline this group. Not a huge fan of Brian Robinson, if I'm being completely honest. I think Antonio Gibson is talented. The question is, are they going to use him to, maximize his potential? Chris Rodriguez there. Yeah, this feels like a C tier as of now. If they really use Gibson, and maximize his potential, I can see this kind of group moving up to B. But at this point, I'm kind of putting him in C tier. Yeah. I'll take Brian Robinson and Gibson over Madison in that group. Assuming Javante's back week one, I'll leave them there. That seems okay to me. The Cardinals is basically James Conner and no one else. I think James Conner is a really good running back with volume at the very least. I'm just double checking, making sure I didn't forget anyone on that team. I mean, Keontae Ingram, Tyson Williams, a couple of names we know, but they don't really do much for me there. I think James Conner is a solid back for fantasy. Um, he can catch a lot of passes. He's going to average over 4 yards a carry, most likely. Um, I'll put him at the end of B tier. I'll take the Miami group, the potential there, over James Conner, essentially. Um, mm, yeah, because at least they have three guys that I think could be significant contributors. The Cardinals is like James Conner and no one else. So I'll put him at the bottom of B because I like Conner a lot. Steelers, you got Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, basically. That's what you have there. I think that's a good combination. I'll take that combination over Mixon and whoever else. Will I take it over Aaron Jones? Yeah, because I think Jalen Warren's going to be really good. Najee, it's fine. Do I want to put him in A tier? Well, we don't know much from Jalen Warren yet, so I'll leave him in B tier. Najee's a little bit overrated, I think, but he can still be a workhorse type of guy. The Bills, not super excited about the Bills. You got James Cook, you got Damian Harris, and you got Latavius Murray. Eh, like, eh. I'll put him here for Damian Harris and the potential of James Cook. No, I'll put him above Robinson. I'll take Damian Harris over Robinson, and I'll take probably Gibson over Cook, but there is that potential with Cook, I think. Yeah, that seems fine. They're just kind of a C tier team to me. The Falcons, the Falcons probably have to be S tier. I mean, you got Bijan Robinson. The guy's going to be a stud. They have Tyler Algier was 1,000-yard rusher last year. Cordell Patterson, is a very unique piece that you can. If he's your third kind of running back player, I think that's solid. You can use him in unique ways. I think they belong at S tier. I'm going to put them ahead of the Lions because I just think Bijan is that good, but I won't put them ahead of the 49ers. Seahawks, now you got Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. I'm putting these guys in A tier. I still really like Walker. I think Charbonnet has a lot of potential, but I'm going to leave him behind the Giants and the Raiders because I'll take Jacobs and Saquon over Walker at this point for 1 year in 2023. If Charbonnet really is good, second round draft capital, then these guys could be bumped up to the top A tier, no problem. The Patriots, obviously headlined by Ramondre Stevenson, who I think is a good player. I know they're talking about Dalvin Cook potentially going to the Patriots, but we don't know that yet. Pierre Strong, J.J. Taylor, Ty Montgomery. I think it's a solid group. I think it's a B tier group. I'll put them here. I'll give respect to Mixon, Aaron Jones, and Najee. Let's see it from Ramondre one more time, him being the main guy. I'm not going to argue too much if you think Ramondre is better than Najee, Aaron Jones, or Mixon. I won't argue too much. But, I want to see it for a full year, him being the main guy. So I'll leave him there. The Browns, it's Nick Chubb. It's Nick Chubb and not much else. I think Nick Chubb is just one of the best running backs in the NFL. So I'm going to put him here in the top, near the top, middle of A tier. I'll put him above the Seahawks, the Eagles, and the Saints. Just because of Nick Chubb, basically. He's that good. The Texans, Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary. Man. I know a lot of people like Dameon Pierce. Not a huge Dameon Pierce fan. I think Singletary could be better than him. I'm putting them in. I'll put him at the end of B. Um, James Conner to me is better than any of those guys, either one of those guys, and they're just kind of. There is some potential with Dameon Pierce. I'm not going to lie, so I'll put him at the end of B. I'll put him at the end of B because we saw decent production from Dameon Pierce. We've seen decent production from Devin Singletary, so we'll see how they go. The Chiefs. So you got Pacheco, McKinnon, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm not as big on Pacheco as other people are. Now, obviously, these guys are going to be better just because they're on the Chiefs' offense. But if you were to take them and put them on another team, I don't think they would be that good. I'm putting the Chiefs. I'll put the Chiefs right around there. Don't think they're very good, but they're going to play well in that system because they have Patrick Mahomes. So the Cowboys, it's Tony Pollard and not much else. I think Tony Pollard is really good. I'll put him around here. I think there's a lot of unknowns with Pollard. Is he going to be able to carry the ball as much as he can? The guy's never averaged like double-digit carries in his college or professional career until last year. Had a major injury, which is something I think to think about. I'll put him here. I'll keep Ramondre and mixing those guys over him. The Chargers is basically Eckler and not much else. I mean, Joshua Kelly. We'll see if Isaiah Spiller can do something. I do think Eckler's really good, so I'll put him in B tier. I'll take him over Connor. I'll take him over Pollard. I'll take him over Ramondre. I'll take him over Mixon. Yeah, I mean, they're going to go to the top of B mostly because of Eckler. Do I want to put him in A tier? I think Eckler is that good. I mean, the guy's led the league in touchdowns the last 2 years. I'm going to switch that. I think. No. I'm going to put him here. I'll leave Nick Chubb over him. That's fine. You can kind of switch those guys if you want. But I think Eckler's that good. As an overall running back with pass catching skills, I'll put him over Chubb. So I'll put him in the high A. The Jets, Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Israel Abanikanda, Zonovan Knight, a lot of names there. Let's just assume Breece Hall is going to come back. I'll put him here. I think Breece Hall is better than Kenneth Walker. I think that's a fair spot. They have some decent depth as well. So I like that there. The Panthers, you basically got Miles Sanders, and that's all, right? Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard. I like Miles Sanders this year. I'm going to put him in B tier. I'll put him above. I think Miles Sanders is better than Dameon Pierce. Yeah, that seems fair right there. There's really not much else behind him. I think that's why I'm keeping him. Yeah, I'll put him above there and behind the Dolphins guys, because they have at least a group of guys that I think can do well in that offense. So, they have Cameron Peoples. The Titans, I mean, you got Derrick Henry. I think we got one more good year in Derrick Henry, but that's about it. But still, I think Henry, out of respect, deserves to be very high. Again, you want to move these around in the tier, that's fine. But that seems all right. Derrick Henry, we got to give respect to the guy. I mean, it's been like the best pure running back maybe in the NFL the last 4 or 5 years. His advanced metrics are slowing down a little bit, but he still put up the second most total yards in his career. Put up 13 total touchdowns. Like, I think we can get one more good year out of him. The Colts with Jonathan Taylor. And anyone else? Zach Moss. I know they drafted a guy, right? Evan Hall, if I remember that correctly. Deion Jackson, Zach Moss. Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's really good. I still think he's really good. I think I'll take him over Kamara. I'll take him over Kenneth Walker. Yeah, I'll put him here. I think I'd take Brees Hall over Jonathan Taylor. But again, this is for 2023. Brees Hall is coming off a major injury, but there is some depth for the Jets, and they got to take that into account. Last one, Jacksonville. I'm not the biggest ETN fan. I think he's a solid player, but I don't think he's a main workhorse guy. I like Tank Bigsby coming out of college. Dearness Johnson is there. These guys feel like B tier to me. I'll take them over the Texans guys. But I think I'll take James Conner over ETN, in my opinion. That's probably going to piss off a lot of people. But there you have it, guys. No one in F tier, which seems about right. Only one team in D tier, that is the Buccaneers, led by Rachaad White. And only 3 in the S tier, 49ers, Falcons, and Lions, which I think is fair. So there you have it, guys. Let me know in the comments. I'm sure you disagree, and let me know. We can have a debate. We don't have to freak out and yell and scream and insults and call people names if we don't agree with them. We can have debates and say, you know what? I respectfully disagree with this. And I'll comment back and I'll say, I appreciate you respectfully disagreeing. Let's have a debate about it. So like this video, subscribe, and yes, please leave a comment. I'll catch you guys all next time.